Prince Andrew now facing a new lawsuit involving one of Epstein's accusers. Her name is Virginia Giuffre. You may know this woman. She was very involved in the Netflix documentary that covered a lot of this stuff. We've talked about her here on this channel in the context of the Ghislaine Maxwell case. We spent some time really trying to unravel what was going on with Jeffrey Epstein, who was involved in the federal government. There were layers of cover-ups that just sort of have been kind of all over the media for decades now. And so we're still seeing the fallout from this entire case. And we're going to dig through the actual it's not a criminal complaint, it's a civil complaint filed out of the Southern District of New York that it was been filed by Virginia Giuffre against Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, over from England. And so let's start off here with a headline before we dive into the meat and potatoes of the complaint. Starting off from Reuters over here, saying that he is sued. Prince Andrew, you can see down here, is sued by Jeffrey Epstein's accuser over sexual abuse. Okay, so when we go through this, you're going to see this word used a lot. I'm just going to call it SA or CSA if it involves children, just because we're going to see a lot of it, right? So rather than saying it over and over, we're just going to say SA or CSA, right? Britain's Prince Andrew was sued in New York by a woman who alleged that he SA and battered her 2 decades ago. She was only 17 years old. Giuffre says that she was trafficked for sex by the late financier Jeffrey Epstein. She sued civilly Andrew, Queen Elizabeth's second son, and then, of course, a spokesman over for Prince Andrew, declined to comment. So this is the complaint. We can see it right here. Filed August 9th, 15 pages. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but there are some juicy meatballs here that we gotta take a look at. So this is Virginia Giuffre suing Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Legal name, Andrew Albert Christian Edward. Kind of a lot of first names there, isn't it? 4 of them. That's a lot. This is a complaint. And let's get familiar with the parties. We already know these people, but this is Prince Andrew, Duke of York, member of the British royal family, 3rd child and 2nd son of Queen Elizabeth II. And Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, he's the 9th line of succession to the British throne. So I'm not real familiar with the British monarchy or royalty, but there you go. Over here we got Virginia Giuffre over here, and so she was the advocate of justice for sex trafficking victims, given the fact that she was involved in this. And this is the image that is in the complaint itself. So let's take a look at who is filing this. This guy's name is David Boies. You can see that he signed off on here on the lawsuit from Boies, Schiller, Flexner, LLP. You can see this guy is not just kind of a minor lawyer. Okay, this is somebody he's got some gravitas behind him, let's say. David has been selected as one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine in 2010, right? That's a pretty big deal. It's not one of these fake lawyer awards. Some of these are a little bit sort of maybe fake. I'm not sure. You know, these look pretty good. Best lawyers in America. Like that one might be kind of okay. Like who cares about that one? But Time magazine, that's a pretty big deal. Also, Global International Litigator of the Year. Pretty good stuff there. Litigator of the Year by the American Lawyer. Lawyer of the Year by National Law Journal twice. Okay, so right, been practicing for a long time. It's got a lot of heft. This is not like the lawsuit that we covered on yesterday's show, where I think they wrote that one in crayon, as somebody from YouTube or Locals said. Right? Okay, just drawing this lawsuit. This is actually a legitimate lawsuit. And so I know there's been some back and forth about Virginia Giuffre. You know, I think even Alan Dershowitz has a lot of things to say about her, and there's a lot of questions about her credibility. But the point here is that she is being represented by a very reputable firm and a reputable lawyer, which means you got to take it seriously. Not that you shouldn't in the first place, but that adds a little bit of heft to it. All right, so let's get into the complaint itself. What we see here is plaintiff Giuffre, by her attorneys, is now filing this complaint against defendant Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. Personal knowledge about all this stuff. Suit arises out of the SA of plaintiff when she was under the age of 18. Started when she was 16. Plaintiff was the victim of trafficking and abuse by Epstein specifically. His trafficking scheme involved recruiting young girls, claiming that they would be paid $200 for simply providing a massage to a wealthy billionaire. The same pattern was repeated numerous times with countless children and young women, which is awful, right? And we've talked about this, before. All right, let's carry on. It says here, paragraph 4, as U.S. District Judge Kenneth Mara found, This was occurring between 1999 and 2007. Epstein abused more than 30 minor girls. His mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, in addition to his own abuse victims, he worked with other people to do all of this stuff, right? So this was a whole scheme that was being orchestrated here. Read that at your leisure, but he worked in concert with others, and he was trafficking in underage women, right? Awful stuff. Like other minor children who came before her, plaintiff was also recruited to provide massages and other different acts that were involved. She was required to be on call for Epstein, frequently traveled with him, and we're going to go through and see sort of the travel records, if my slide will change over here. As United States already got that one. One such powerful man to whom this woman, Virginia, was lent out to was, of course, Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, right? So we get down here, we get a little bit of background on how this is all functioning. And then one of the people that Virginia Giuffre was lent out to is what it says, was Prince Andrew, according to this allegation. So why? Prince Andrew, close friend of Ghislaine Maxwell, the British socialite who spent years overseeing and managing his network, actively recruited the girls, including the plaintiff, right? Talked a lot about her. She is also facing criminal charges, also out of the Southern District of New York, right? We've talked about her case many times here. She is still sitting in custody and sort of fighting over every single shred of discovery and every single allegation. She's even making allegations against the prison guards and against the warden and people in her detention facility. All still being unraveled. According to Prince Andrew, he met Epstein through Maxwell in 1999. Became a frequent guest at Epstein's various homes around the world, including New York City, where he abused the plaintiff when she was a minor. After publicly feigning ignorance about the scope of the operation, he has refused to cooperate with U.S. authorities in their investigation and the prosecution of Epstein and his co-conspirators. Okay, so the big question, and I saw this on Twitter yesterday, was, well, what's going to happen here? What is Andrew going to do now that she's filed a lawsuit against him? Well, one possible thing that you can do is just not cooperate at all, as you can see happen here, right? The U.S. authorities have been asking for help. He's feigning ignorance about the scope of the operation, and he has refused to cooperate. So how do you make somebody in a different country who happens to be the president, or the prince, who is in a pretty powerful position in a pretty prestigious family, cooperate with an average everyday citizen who's filing a complaint? Kind of a difficult thing to do. Prince Andrew now, the complaint says, committed SA and battery upon the plaintiff when she was 17 years old. He's responsible for battery and the intentional infliction of emotional distress, which are both common law claims. She has been severely and had lasting damage. Right? This is filed timely. There's no statute of limitations problem, is what they're saying. This happened when she was under the age of 18. So what they're talking about there is what's called a statute of limitations, which means you have to bring your claim within a certain period of time. Right? You just can't get injured by somebody and then say, well, I'm going to sue you in 25 years. They want you to sue them soon so that you have evidence right now. And so that if your injury heals or you get injured again or whatever, that's documented. You want to recover now versus delay it down the road. There are incentives to suing timely. What they're saying here, no, she was underage, so there's no questions about any of that here. All right, so this is stuff that I normally will skip in these segments, but let's take a closer look at this, because normally we would spend time and we'd just say the parties. Plaintiff Giuffre is an individual of state of Colorado, and you'd say, hey, plaintiff Rob is a citizen of Arizona. Right? And no, it's not even worth commenting on. But here you'd say defendant Prince Andrew is a citizen of the UK, currently residing where? Berkshire, UK, where he is domiciled, right? So they're identifying what that is, and they're going to give us a little bit more here about jurisdiction. So what, right? Now he's been involved in this. A lawsuit has been filed against him, but what are they going to do about it? Now, the court is The argument here is the court has jurisdiction over this dispute. Why? Because it involves a citizen of a state, which is Giuffre, and a defendant of a citizen in foreign states. And the value of damages is over $75,000. So they're saying the federal court now has jurisdiction over this. Yes, it's Prince Andrew. Yes, he's over in England, but that's okay because U.S. Code says the U.S. court has jurisdiction if it involves a citizen of a state, a defendant of a foreign state, and it's over $75K. Boom, they've got that. So that they say that's good. They also say venue is proper because a substantial part of this stuff happened here, happened right within the district. So that's why it's proper to sue here in the Southern District of New York. But this is where it gets a little bit more interesting, right? Why does this court have jurisdiction over Prince Andrew? They explain it in this complaint. The court has personal jurisdiction over the defendant. Why? Prince Andrew, S.A., the plaintiff in this state, he's committed a tortious action within this state pursuant to New York's long-arm statute, which means the long-arm statute is this old civil procedure, awful thing we had to learn about in law school, but it's really the long arm. It's like, hey, we are empowering our state to go and get your butt. It's called the long arm statute. So it goes over there. Nope, New York passed this law. If you come into our state and you are responsible for committing a tortious activity here, our law authorizes us to go and just pluck jurisdiction, just pluck you out of there. That's what New York law says. Defendant says that they also visited Epstein in this state numerous times. So it happened here. Also, he came here a lot. The defendant could reasonably anticipate that a suit based upon this could result in him coming back here, right? So they're saying, nope, he came here. He committed offenses here. He visited his friends here. He should have been reasonably expecting that his activities, what he was doing here, would subject him to being hauled back into court here. So it's not unreasonable for the court to exercise that jurisdiction. Now, okay, so the court says, I've got jurisdiction over this. Well, you're still dealing with a foreign person who happens to be the prince. So what are they going to do about it? Well, let's see what the lawsuit has to say. So put a pin in that. We got a little bit more facts here because we have some nice graphics to look at. Plaintiff became a victim after he recruited her between 2000 and 2002, numerous locations, including his mansion. He flew her on a plane nationally and internationally numerous times when she was under the age of 18. Only a portion of the flight logs have been recovered. So numerous commercial flights. And you can see here that this is a recollection of the logs. So based on the flights on his private plane from the limited logs that are available, this is what we've got. So you can see a lot of activity. Paris, London, flying from Grenada to Tangier, over from the U.S. Virgin Islands, Bahamas, San Antonio, Santa Fe, St. Louis. Shout outs to everybody over there. You had Epstein in your back neighborhoods there. So it says, in addition to being abused by Epstein himself, he was also forced on defendant Prince Andrew, Duke of York, at Epstein and Maxwell's directions. This is where we get the picture right now. This is from a lawsuit. This is from this is all public stuff. So it's from a lawsuit. Prince Andrew abused the plaintiff on separate occasions under the age of 18. On one occasion, he did so at a Maxwell's home. They forced her to have intercourse with him. The photograph depicts her at the home prior to Prince Andrew doing what he did, right? Terrible. On another occasion, he also did it at a New York mansion, forced the plaintiff to sit on his lap and all sorts of just awful stuff. You can see this is a gruesome complaint. Not a good complaint here. During each of the aforementioned incidents, Giuffre was compelled by expressed or implied threats, feared death, feared physical injury to herself, and other repercussions for disobeying Epstein and others. In November, there was a response. So we're coming back. We put a pin in this. Now, we know that the court, at least according to the complaint here that was filed by Giuffre's lawyer, who happens to be a pretty reputable fella, filed a complaint. They're saying the court has jurisdiction. The long arm statute can reach back out there and we can extend our hula hoop. We can throw that right over Prince Andrew. It's fine. But what if he just says, so what? I'm not coming. I'm not responding to you guys. First of all, you're from the colonies, so you're automatically inferior. So we don't listen to you. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm not coming over there. What if he says that? Well, he talked a big game, right? No, I'm interested in, getting to the bottom of all this. I have no recollection, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we know that this has happened before already. In November 2019, in response to this new scrutiny, Prince Andrew set for an interview with BBC Newsnight. Prince Andrew stated he did not regret his friendship with Epstein, but he had no recollection of meeting with the plaintiff, which is Giuffre, despite photographic evidence to the contrary, despite the picture that's floating around the internet. Prince Andrew publicly pledged, including in a statement stepping down from his duties, to assist the U.S. authorities with their criminal investigation of Epstein and his co-conspirators, right? So you can actually go look at the statement. They link to it in the article, in the complaint, royal.uk statement, His Royal Highness. Says, quote, "Of course, I am willing to help any appropriate law enforcement agency with their investigations if required." So he said it publicly, said it openly, was on BBC Newsnight, wrote a statement out, put it on their website. Despite this pledge, Prince Andrew has refused to cooperate with U.S. authorities. Oh, no. Former SDNY U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman stated that Prince Andrew had provided, quote, zero cooperation, despite U.S. prosecutors and the FBI contacting Prince Andrew's counsel. See that linked over here from the BBC. Nothing at all. Okay. We also have here, his counsel also refused to cooperate with counsel for the victims of Epstein's sex trafficking. Counsel for the victims, including the plaintiff, have asked for a meeting or a phone call with Prince Andrew and or his representatives, to get facts, context, or any explanation that he may have, or to explore alternative dispute resolution approaches, like a big fat lump of money. Prince Andrew and his representatives have rejected all such requests and responded by escalating their vile and baseless attacks on the plaintiff. So, nothing's going to happen. In this country, no person, whether president or prince, is above the law, and no matter how powerless or vulnerable, no person can be deprived of the law's protections. 20 years ago, Prince Andrew's wealth, power, position, and connections enabled him to abuse a frightened, vulnerable child with no one there to protect her. It is long past time for him to be held to account. Here, signed off on by David Boies here. You can see he requests judgment against the defendant, wants compensatory, consequential, exemplary, punitive damages in the amount to be assessed later, plus attorney's fees, costs of the suits, and so on. So David Boies, we got Sigrid Macaulay, Pro Hoc Vice, along with some others over from the firm. So several different lawyers from the firm. David Boies, Alexander Boies, we have Sigrid Macaulay, we've got Andrew Vilcastin, and Sabina Mariella. So it looks like 5 different lawyers here filing that complaint. And it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good complaint. Is it going to go anywhere? Well, who knows, right? Because probably not, because he's the prince of a foreign power, and they typically don't get involved in this stuff. It's kind of beneath them. It's for all of the peasants, all of the workers, court proceedings. No, we don't do that stuff. I have to go, do English things, whatever English. I've never been to England. I would love to go. I don't mean to insult anybody who's watching from England, but I don't know what's going on with this prince. Not good. Would be good if he was held accountable, but it would be good if our politicians were held accountable too. So I guess we're on the same side of this coin. It's them versus the rest of us. We're all just trying to make do. So you've got it over there, just like we do. We're in good company. All right. So let's take a look at some questions over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com before we wrap up out of here on the day. Let's see what we've got. We've got a couple questions I got to float through here. We have here, Gerchon says, can the USA ask England to deliver Creepy Andrew when he is convicted? You've got Creepy Andrew. We got Creepy Cuomo. We got Creepy Andrew. They're just everywhere. We have Epstein did not kill himself is here, which is accurate. It's an accurate statement. It's somebody's name, but it's also an accurate statement. It says, how do you sue a foreign prince? And remember the time Kevin Spacey accuser all getting Epstein. What to bet the Epstein accuser getting Epstein? Also, why is the case in SDNY? Would the accuser get screwed because SDNY is corrupt and only benefit powerful people? There are a lot of good points to be made there. A lot of cases out of SDNY, no question. John Delar is here, says, I don't believe this Epstein accuser. She is totally shady and an opportunist. Obviously, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Epstein was a creep, but she wasn't exactly Shirley Temple. When Alan Dershowitz came out against her, I knew she was totally lying, and I don't feel for her. So, it's funny. I actually kind of thought the same thing. Dershowitz is a pretty reasonable person, I think, right? He's a interesting guy. He's got, a big personality. Many people do, but he's somebody that I just don't necessarily see doing what they claim that he did, right? He is like a constitutional lawyer, like dots the T's, crosses the I's, like very by the book. To imagine him just throwing his clothes off and going hog wild on Epstein's Island, I just don't see it. So I don't know. I don't know about it. And I agree with you, right? I'm always questionable with these stories. You might notice a little bit of contradiction here. Hey, Rob, well, you're not really believing the Andrew Cuomo, accusers, but over here, you're kind of, having fun with this one. And it's like, look, folks, these are two totally different allegations, aren't they? One is somebody got their butt touched, and this is like sex trafficking around the globe. So it's a whole different ball game. But yeah. There's some questions. There are a lot of curious things going on. We got TOS Forever says, is Cuomo involved in the Prince Andrew case? Probably along with Hunter Biden as well. They just have a little, it's like the Sopranos over there. We have this coming over from Question says, wasn't Epstein's island on the Virgin Islands or something? He owns his own island. Can he just make his own age of consent on his own island? I don't know how that works. I think the U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the U.S., their territories or something like that. I don't actually know what the jurisdiction is, but certainly I don't think that you can traffic in children from other countries into your island. I don't believe that's lawful. That's not my legal advice. I don't know. Can't imagine that it is. And nor should it be. We have Want to Know says, so diplomatic immunity doesn't apply to a royal? Well, I think it does. So I'm not a lawyer on international affairs. I think diplomatic immunity applies when you're doing your diplomatic duties, right? When you're there on official duties. Raping 17-year-old girls is not a diplomatic thing. And so I'm not sure that would extend to cover, outright intentional volitional criminal conduct. Maybe it does. I don't know. We have Sergeant Bob says, Prince Andrew, I'm not going to answer those questions, which is the right answer there. That's Sergeant Bob. Sergeant Bob attended our law enforcement interaction training where we talked about the 1, 2, 3 rule. That was rule number 1, wasn't it? Sorry, officer, I don't answer those questions. There you go. That's it. So that was from Sergeant Bob. Good memory, Sergeant Bob. He's sergeant, so he knows the rules. We have another one here from Epstein Didn't Kill Himself. Says, why would a foreign citizen accused of a serious crime testify against their friends, which can be used? Personally, I would not testify and not go into any media interview and not cooperate with law enforcement and attack the credibility of the accuser. Yeah, well, you kind of have the framework dialed in there. That's exactly what they're doing. He's not talking to anybody. He made a mistake in 2019. He tried to do that to paper over this thing. Obviously didn't work out for him. And so now he's just going to go into total dark mode, total hiding, which is the right move. He shouldn't be saying anything, and he shouldn't be cooperating with law enforcement at all. And he's got a media powerhouse and, the entire, I guess, government of England. So yeah, certainly he can really put pressure to bear on her. It's not appropriate to do that, but he's going to do it because that's what they do. We have our last one over here says, from Thunder 7, and we got some super chats. We're definitely going to make sure we get to those. We've got from Thunder 7 says, Virginia was a trafficked slave. Please don't insult her by siding with men who took advantage. Dershowitz admitted to having massages with her, but kept his underwear on. May not have been the monster that Epstein was, but many men participated, including Prince Andrew. They will get away with it because the elites always do. Well, so there you go. That's a different perspective on the Dershowitz stuff. Did he say that? He got massages but kept his underwear on. Oh my gosh. I don't want to attribute that to him. I don't know if he said that or not. Do your own research on this, folks. I don't want to attribute that to him because he'll probably sue me for defamation or something. I'm not saying that he did that, but he was on a documentary with Netflix. So watch that if you want to know what he had to say. He's on YouTube too. Go check out his channel. Listen to him. Thank you for that, Thunder 7. I appreciate it. We have a couple more from Tweak says, Prince Andrew was best buds with Jimmy Savile and Epstein. Bad luck for anyone who is completely innocent. So, all right, we got some super chats also coming in. Lonnie Holcomb, I think this was on the last segment, but let's get to this. We were talking about the Tanios case, the Capitol Hill defendant Tanios, says bear spray is oleo, Pam, capsicum, pepper, and oleo capsicum. The irony is it is a food product, believe it or not. We had to be sprayed with it in the face during police training. Oh, we have another police officer in the house, Lonnie Holcomb over there. Welcome to the community and welcome to the show. Yeah, so okay, that's good to know. That provides some context a little bit. And that sounds also awful. I'm glad you survived and you're with us here. And thank you for that, Lonnie Holcomb. Appreciate your support. Jay said, thank you, Robert. I appreciate your show and all of the locals' questions and comments. Well, thank you, Jay. Yeah, they're fun. I think that they're kind of working out. We kind of have a good little rhythm going, and they are fun to get to. I'm glad that you're enjoying them because it's actually sort of works with the workflow a little bit. So hopefully we can continue to do it. We have another one here from Efran Garcia. Says, excellent work, Robert. Keep it up. Intriguing times. You're absolutely right about that, Efran Garcia. You're absolutely right. It is interesting times. And those were the questions, my friend. Those were the super chats. A lot of great stuff. And we're right on time. That means I'm going to be able to get up and go make sure that I'm ready to rock and roll for my next meeting. I do know it's a short show, and sorry to do that. It kind of breaks my heart as well, but that's okay. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be able to cram a lot more in there because we'll have a little bit more time. So I want to thank everybody from both YouTube and watchingthewatchers.locals.com for all of those great questions. Really do appreciate your support and all of your love over there. Want to welcome a couple of the new members who signed up very recently. Big shout outs to Mary B. 585. We have The Real Patriot in the house. We have Laura SB who signed up along with D. Rodrigue 188. We have Wendy Deer in the house. We got Stoic RD along with Radase, along with JM Allen 4411. And I want to give a big special shout out to a thank you to a Terrence K. Won't give your full name away there, Terrence K, but I got your letter here. And, I absolutely read it. It was beautiful. And so I wanted to thank you for that. It really hit me. And it's a beautiful letter. Of course, I don't want to share it with you here, but I appreciate it. Thanks for sending that over. It was a moving letter. And so with that, that's it for me, my friends. That's it. That's all that we've got for the show. My goodness. Well, that's all right. We're going to do it same time, same place tomorrow. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Arizona time. 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And for that one Florida man, everybody else have a tremendous evening. I will see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for watching. Before you head out, I want to just remind you that I am a criminal defense lawyer here in Scottsdale, Arizona, where my team and we've got a long history of helping good people facing criminal charges to find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and beyond that in their lives. Our phone number for a free case evaluation is 480-787-0394. You can also find us online at www.rrlawaz.com. We can help with any type of criminal charge in the state of Arizona. Things like DUI, drug offenses, misdemeanor offenses. And we can also help with clearing up old case records, like expunging cases or making sure that you can restore your rights so that you can vote again or possess a firearm again or apply for some other federal benefits. We can remove mugshots off the internet. Basically, anytime that you or somebody you know or love is in trouble with the law in the state of Arizona, we have an amazing team of people. We would just love the opportunity to help. And our phone number, of course, 480-787-0394. And if you don't need any legal services, that's a very good thing, but you may be interested in some informational offerings so that you are prepared if you do have to deal with the police. And of course, I want to invite you to head on over to gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. You'll notice here, I've got several different trainings that are available, including the law enforcement interaction training. This is the 1, 2, 3 rule for dealing with the police. It's one rule you need, 2 questions that the police can ask of you, and 3 responses if they ask you a problematic question. So that's available now. You can also get a load at my personal productivity system here called Existence Systems. Fun little course. And then we have here, if you're a lawyer or a legal professional, be sure to check out this program. We are meeting twice every month. Again, all of this over at gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. And if none of that sounds any good to you, well, just go ahead and give us a follow because I'm working on some other products and some other offerings. And of course, if you have not already done so, want to invite you one more time to head on over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. It's where you can support the show and it's where we can connect. We've got monthly Zoom meetings and a lot of other goodies coming up. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for watching and for all of your love and support. I will see you on the next one.